Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning. What is up, Syndicate members? It's Wednesday. We are live from Syndicate headquarters right here in Austin, Texas. As always, I'm your co-host, Tony Merwin. That's the man of the hour, the Tower of Power, Joseph F. Campert, JFK for short. He is the king of trucking, by the way, and he's also the king of Facebook groups.
Sure.
We are here for you, as always, for Winning on Wednesday. Let's go.
Yeah, baby. Mr. Brian Moore, all the way early from Delaware. Miss Aaron, what's up? Fort Worth. Hey, shout out to Aaron. I saw, was that your post yesterday? I think that you were in the studio and then you were stopping by there and then you're like, I'm going to interview the people here or network with the people here. And then I'm also going to get on this show. So I saw that post. Shout out to Aaron. You're always doing amazing things. So much activity. Activity solves all problems and drives revenue. I'll tell you that. Watching from the Avila office. Let's go. Buenos dias. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time. Hey, real quick, make sure it's in the description. Let StreamYard view your comments so we can get you up on the show, just like everybody that's commenting here. So, again, good morning. Thank you guys so much for being here. We've got an amazing show for y'all. We're super excited. Real quick, before we get into it, weekly win. Tony, I'm going to let you lead with this one, man. What you got for a weekly win?
You're going to let me lead with this one.
I'm going to let you lead with it this time.
It is definitely, I'm still running on that recruiting spree, so to speak. So inked another good deal yesterday that's going to basically help Avila align with maybe about another 300 agents. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
weekly
that's
win.
Pretty good.
Put your wins in the comments too, guys. But shout out Tony.
Contract's
That's freaking awesome.
House, but I got a really good, strong verbal commitment, and I expected to be here today. So all things are looking solid.
Love that, dude. I love that. Speaking of recruiting, not necessarily even recruiting, it's funny. I'm going to give a shout out to one of my internal guys. So Alexander, and he may be watching the show or he's probably just working. I know him, but found me. He reached out. He found me through, he's a freight broker on the trucking side. Saw a video of mine with Cody Askins, and he had bought a coaching package on the freight brokering side. And she was like, part of that package was you should have your insurance license too, so you can do insurance for everybody that you're doing the freight brokering for. So he, searching insurance, finds Cody, sees a video of us, and then literally reaches out to me. He's like, dude, you are the one. I want to work with you guys. And so he's been with us, he's been in insurance literally for like 4 months, maybe 5 months tops. And this month he just passed over, I believe he's just surpassed yesterday over 80,000 in new business written premium. So shout out to Alexander, being that new in the business and just picking it up. And just as he's doing everything right. So shout out to you, man. I wanted to give you some quick praise on that. That's definitely a win. It's not necessarily even recruiting. I guess he found me, but still we brought him in and he's doing some amazing things. So
is that same video that's just been out there from like 3 years ago? Just killing it?
It's like almost 2 years old now, but it's got like 15, 16,000 views on it. I still have people hit me up almost every week because they saw me on there. So,
nice.
It's actually funny. We're talking about Cody. This is actually how I met our guest at one of his events. And I've kind of seen his name around. You guys may have seen him. But I got to meet him at, what was that? I think it might've been on one of the jet tours. When we did the 5 cities, 5 days, we got to meet and really kind of just connect. And I know he's friends with James Baskins, who's been on the show before, who's down in Florida. And I'm going to go ahead and just bring him on. We got Mr. Mike Schulkins on the show with us this morning.
What's up,
brother?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Definitely, man. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Well, hey, real quick, Mike, quick little 30,000 foot overview. Who is Mike? Let people know who you are, what you do, and then what's a weekly win for you?
33 years old. I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I own HIG, which is an IMO that is centered right here in Fort Lauderdale. Weekly win for me is this past week, I was able to book Dave Albin, which it was Tony Robbins' head firewalker for over 30 years. And I booked him to come down in Q1 of next year and walk fire with some of my producers.
Really?
Nice.
That's freaking sick, dude. Dude, I want to talk a little bit about that. Let's actually, this is total squirrel moment, but we'll get back to the insurance side. The training that you did, where it was you were training with Marines or something like that. What was that you were doing that looked, and it was like extremely different? Can you share some of that? I saw your post and I forgot to hit you up about it.
I'm on the never-ending quest to become the greatest version of myself. So I never stop investing in myself. I have coaches, mentors. Long story short, my personal one-on-one coach, Coach Nate Bailey, who wrote the book 100 Mile Mindset. He holds a leadership course 3 times a year. It's called Unleash the Leader Within. And it's designed to get you out of the gray area in your life, right? And a lot of times when we say that we're all in, we're giving 100% to something, you get home at the end of the day and you find out there's still 20% left in the tank. And like, did we really empty the tank that day? Were we really all in? And a lot of times the answer is no. So that's what that leadership course is. It's actually called Unleash the Leader Within. It's ran by Coach Nate Bailey. And it looks like a fitness course, but it's not. It's actually a 4-day intensive leadership evolution. And it's only 1 day of physical activity where we have a Navy SEAL come in. And it's all about getting you to stop thinking as an individual and to start thinking as a team. So that's why we put you in the mud with a bunch of strangers, kind of get you to the point, your breaking point, and you guys have to stop thinking as individuals and come together as an actual unit. And when I completed ULW, Coach Nate actually asked me to sit on the board of that company, and that's become a passion of mine. So now I'm helping him and come up with different things to create leaders in the world, because we all know the world needs leaders more now than ever.
Absolutely.
Right, dude.
Well said.
Well, let's go back to where all this started for Mike Schulkins, right? I doubt you came out the womb like this. So before you even really got into insurance, right? And everything, you're doing a lot of cool things on the insurance side. I know obviously the IMO, but I see you flying back and forth. You're on the jet and you got a call center or whatever you're doing on that side. I want to dig a little bit deeper on that. Where did all this start? The whole self-investing, and again, wanting to become the best version of yourself. What was that? Did it happen since you've been in insurance, or was it something, hey man, as a kid, this was always something I was pursuing? Give us a little bit of that backstory.
It was when I had made my transition into insurance. So before insurance, I was the type of guy, just to give you an overview, smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, 40 pounds overweight, putting the minimal effort into everything that I did and always expecting maximum results. I was the type of guy that would get fired from his job and then blame his boss.
Yeah.
Never took accountability for my own actions, and I blamed the world for the problems that I had. So I was actually washing dishes in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and there was an insurance recruiter that was kind of, attempting to recruit me and saying, come on in, we'll get your license. We're going to show you how to make the big bucks. And after listening to that for a few months, I finally decided, I really don't have much to lose. So I took this insurance job. And, day one, when I walked in the door, I knew I had found my home. It was a type of call center where they would have a sales board and they would put everybody's earnings up for the whole office to see, right? So when I walked in and saw that there was, one guy making $3,500 or $4,500 a week, I said, okay, this is something I can do. And this is something that could certainly solve all my problems.
Love that, dude. And so what is that? Was that on the health, life side, or what all lines of business are you doing?
Health, specifically health, U65, non-ACA.
Okay. And that is what HIG is to this day, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, got it. So then how long were you there? What was the we'll stick with kind of the theme of evolution. Where did HIG come from? Where was it like, you know what, I want to start my own thing. And I want to, obviously I read some of your bio and all that good stuff. Like you're really trying to empower agents and make an impact. Where did all that start?
So I started as that agent, and then over 2 or 3 years had become, the top closer or top producer in the company, grew to general manager, formed a partnership with a friend of mine. We opened an agency. And then in 2019, I opened my first solo shop. It's called Liberty Health. And we hit it out of the park. Production was great. Lead cost was low. Everything was, it was a dream come true. But what I quickly realized, I was so new to being an agency owner. So what I quickly realized is you are only as strong as your upline. And very soon on, I had outgrown my upline, and it almost became like having a weight around my ankle. I could not, just get any farther. I didn't have the support I needed. And long story short, didn't know much about the IMO space and started poking around. Like, I realized, the industry needs somebody like me. The industry needs a guy who has seen it all, has owned and operated a handful of agencies. I know where every speed bump is in the road. I have all the tools that, I call it Tom Brady's playbook of insurance. I have Tom Brady's playbook of insurance that have built all my businesses. And the industry needed somebody like me who was going to take all of their secrets and hand them to the producers. And that's how I got passionate about the IMO space and decided that I didn't want to necessarily sell anymore. I wanted to help people grow their business.
Yeah.
Right. Real quick, I see Merwin, I see you writing down a bunch of stuff. What's the best way to do that? Is to give, like, when you're again, maybe it's the playbook, right? But maybe what are the pieces within the playbook that you think really make the biggest impact on a producer, on an agent, Mike?
So for us, the reason why we're in the non-ACA and the U65 non-traditional space, we have full control over the agent and the consumer experience, right? So I see so many FMOs, they want to get agents excited about a really mediocre product, or they may have a great product with a very, very low comp. And it's hard to get agents excited about living paycheck to paycheck, right? So I like to encompass it all in one. How do I say this? So basically, we empower agents through creative product design, commission, marketing and lead sources, support, and then we provide end-to-end management services, which means the only thing the agent has to do is wake up every day and worry about selling. Everything else is already taken care of for them.
Expand on that a little bit. End-to-end management services, just because for dumb people like me.
So you have your ACA agents. They submit everything to the carrier. They're not handling any billing. Because we're a non-traditional, we actually have merchants. We have to bill our own products, right? We have to issue commission statements to the agents. And, we encompass it all in one. So the end-to-end services is the agents have a back office where they can log into every day. It will lay out all their products. It will lay out all their members, the date they enrolled, when their next commission, or when their member is renewing their premium, so on and so forth. Because we're in the non-traditional space, it's so much more than just sending an app to the carrier, right? There's a lot more red tape that goes on. It's so we handle all that for our agents.
One, how long did that take to build all that out? It's like, dude, I know, because I'm on the PNC side and doing reconciliation and pay and all that, and the commissions. I mean, it's freaking insane, right? It's like we have virtual assistants that help. We have an agency management system, kind of like probably what you have, that home office, that dashboard where, that's what we're using to reconcile. But when it comes to the health, I know y'all's report, like, don't even get me started on the life insurance reporting. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't. I'm like, what? It's like, so I guess that really leads me to, why did you go the non-traditional route where there is more red tape, where it's for something as simple where, hey, I can contract an agent, they can submit the app and then get paid. Go a little bit deeper on that.
The reason being is because we have full control over the agent and the consumer experience. That is most important to me. So again, I see so many FMOs out there that are trying to get agents excited over, a very low or very mediocre comp. And like I said, it's just hard to get people excited over living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
When you are using creative product design and creative commission to empower your agents, I have agents, for example, that are netting 50% of premium on a health app. It's
Right.
almost unheard of. So just makes life so much easier when you don't have to worry about your agents leaving you to make a few more points. It makes life so much easier when you can actually control the consumer experience as well. A lot of times you call the number on the back of your insurance card, and next thing you know, you're talking to an overseas call center that doesn't know much about insurance in general, right?
Right.
So just having that all encompassed into one and allowing us to service the members,
Yeah.
I can't imagine any other way.
Let's stay there then, because you're talking about servicing. So I know you've got what all do you have in place on the back end in order to control that customer experience? Because I know you've got where's the shop at? Where do you fly to? I see you flying all the time. Where's it out of?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
But don't you have a call center somewhere, or where do I see you flying all the time? Where's your stuff outsourced?
We recently had some lead gen going on in Costa Rica. I had a 100-seat call center out there that were generating transfers for some of my producers. There's a lot going on. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
So what is that still running? So that's pretty much that is how you're also controlling the agent experience, because you're doing all the lead gen, you're providing everything to them. Again, it's literally, I just need you to sit in the seat and sell, right? And that's because you started that call center over there, and that's how you're doing the lead gen, or is there anything else to that?
Exactly. No, that's just basically it. When you do business with us, you don't have to wake up every day and think about how you're going to grow your business. We're going to handle all that for you. So you just have to focus on the selling, the training, the recruiting. We're going to tell you where the speed bumps are on the road. We're going to tell you what to expect, in your first 1, 2, 3 years of business. We're going to provide the legal support, compliance, give you access to all of my CPAs, lawyers, the whole gamut.
Man, we'll go for it, Tony.
I was just going to say, is this the same lane that when you came in for the first time after washing dishes and saw that call center, is it still in the same lane, and now you've just taken all that experience and created your own deal?
It is. Okay. That's correct. So a lot of times people always ask, like, what is U65 non-traditional? What is, a non-ACA shop look like? So examples of the products that we would offer would be STMs, healthcare sharing ministries, indemnity plans, and basically any GI product you can ever think of.
Okay. Got it. So that was my question too, Merwin, because I was like, dude, where the hell did you come up with all of this, right? And now maybe that's obviously because of the coaching and the mentorship that you've invested. And I wanted to go back to that a little bit, right? And just the power of self-investment. I love that you say that, right? And even just your MO behind starting HIG and everything that you're doing for agents, like it's giving the secret sauce away. That's literally half of why we created the insurance syndicate. It was to bring people together and then also just share away, right? Where I wish, and you probably maybe felt this, I don't know, you've been able to do a lot in a very short time, but I just think even when I first started, like, man, if I had a Joe back then, right, somebody again to hand me that Tom Brady playbook, that it wasn't like, now don't get me wrong, the experiences were invaluable, right? Where it's like trial and error. And now I'm able to give that away myself, but then I go back and I'm like, damn, man, I wish I had a Joe too, right? And so I guess, what are some things, like why should people be investing in themselves, right? Whether that's in coaching, whether that's in mentorship. And I know, guys, we talk about this a lot, but there's a reason, right? Because it's freaking powerful and it works. And obviously you can see Mike's been in so you've been in insurance, you started 2019. So, I mean, the shop that this guy's running in the past 3-4 years, I mean, it's insane what you've been able to build in that time frame. Giving a lot of that to investing in mentorship and coaching, right? I'm assuming you probably wouldn't be the same person you are today without that. share some of that, right? Why should people be, and talk about the money spent? Because I think that's what shies a lot of people away. This was me for a long time. Tony knows this. I've shared this before, is that we had such an expense versus investment mindset that everything that cost, man, it was like, and again, it was going to an event with Cody, or it was going to a conference. It was paying for a course, right? To level up, whatever that might look like. It was all an expense, right? So I didn't really get as much out of it until I finally shifted that mindset where it's like, dude, this is an investment in myself, right? In my business. Talk a little bit about that and what that's done for you, and why people should also be investing in themselves.
So one of the reasons why I fell in love with the insurance industry is, so I walked into that call center and I saw those agents making, big money I couldn't even dream of. And what I noticed most of the agents were doing is they were kind of competing with each other, right? And thinking that the boss is sending the good leads to the good agents and the bad leads to the bad agents. Well, the truth is, it really wasn't like that. And everybody had the same opportunity every single day. We all had the same quality of leads. We all had the same desk, the same computer, the same headset, right? And we had, the lie that we tell ourselves is that top producer, he has something that we don't. He gets the good leads. That's why he makes $3,500 a week and I only make $1,000. And it's all bullshit. And that's why I fell in love with the industry, because I learned early on it is you versus you. Doesn't matter what the guy next to you is doing. Doesn't matter where he's getting his leads. The name of the game is you versus you. And so that's immediately why I fell in love with the industry. And then personal growth is so important because, for example, that guy I was 10 years ago on the phones, he couldn't handle, what I'm taking care of today. Right. So there's a small, how do I say this? There's a small piece of you that might have to die for you to grow into that individual that you need to be. Right.
Right.
So that's where the personal growth comes in. Again, if I had tried this 10 years ago, I wouldn't have lasted a day. So
I love it. What are some things that you would encourage people to actually invest in, right? So we're talking like what are some things that you've done that like, man, this thing right here was like game changer for me? Was it a book? Was it a conversation, mentor? What would that be?
All of the above. I read daily. Mastermind is very important for me. I like to get into the room with like-minded individuals. That's how we met. And, when you surround yourself with people that are on the quest to become their greatest version, the conversations are just different. We're not hanging out at these events complaining about, what's going on in politics or what's going on in the world or my taxes just went up, right? We're talking about domination. How can we dominate an industry? And when you hang around with individuals like that, the conversations are just so much different. It's not problem-based. It's all solution-based, right? So masterminds are great. Coaches and mentors. I've spent a mid six figures just on myself in the last 3 years on coaching and mentoring. That is my biggest bill right now. And I wouldn't change it for the world. It appears to me that I have, accomplished what others want to accomplish. And, for me to wake up every day and hop on a call with my mentor, for them to hold me accountable and sometimes say, hey, Mike, that's BS. You're lying to yourself. I think you're making an excuse. Or sometimes when I'm taking on a big project, I find myself playing into distractions and so on and so forth. My mentor will just call me out and say, hey, is that really going to help you get to where you want to be? Is changing the color of paint on the wall really going to help you exit your agency for 9 figs? And the answer is no. So that's what it is for me. It's surrounding yourself with individuals that will hold you accountable. There are no yes men in my life. Me and my friends, we have really uncomfortable, difficult conversations on a daily basis, and we're all dominating our industries.
Love that, dude. I love that.
I'm kind of curious what the trigger point was, right? You went from washing dishes, you get recruited into a call center selling non-traditional health over the phone. You see some guys are making $3,500 a week. Some guys aren't. Some people are complaining that they're not the ones getting the good leads. We all know that's bullshit. What was the trigger point for you in that environment that said, hey, there's more to me than just sitting here selling insurance. I want to get into bigger self-development. I want to grow and become a better version of myself. What was the trigger point in there? Because you obviously weren't doing that. I mean, I assume you weren't doing that while you were washing dishes. You weren't thinking that way.
Exactly.
So what was the trigger point when you got into insurance and said, hey, that kind of flipped the switch? Was it something that a boss said to you or a mentor said to you? Or was it something that you saw someone else doing? Like what was changed in your brain?
Few things. So the first thing is I had to get very raw and very real with myself. You know, I had to look that guy in the mirror and just tell him, you know, Mike, you've been making excuses. I think I was 24 at the time. Mike, you've been making excuses for 24 years. You've given up on most good opportunities you've ever had. You know, are you going to do it again? Right. And I just kind of, again, had to, I don't want to say beat myself up, but I had to have that uncomfortable talk with myself. And, you know, Mike, you've put every good opportunity you've ever had. You know, why is this one going to be different? And I just started setting my alarm a little bit earlier. I started eating a little bit healthier. I started paying attention in the sales trainings instead of like, you know, looking at the cute girl next to me. And what had happened is life got better. Life got better. And I said, man, I think I'm onto something. But the real main shift that I noticed for myself and for everybody else in the world is you start off in life as a, you know, a young man or young woman, and your parents tell you can be anything you want to be. You can be the president. You can be an astronaut. You can be whatever you want to be. And some point throughout life, that shifts. Whether it's a traumatic experience, we fall on hard times, we, you know, whatever the case may be. And that kind of shifts in our head, and we start to believe that maybe we're not worthy, right? You see a guy driving a Rolls Royce, and you tell yourself, oh yeah, but he went to a different school than I did. It's not always true. He probably had the same textbooks and the same education that you did. So the main trigger point for me was just looking at that guy at the top of the board who was making $3,500 or $4,500 a week, looking at him and just saying, I have everything that he has. I am worthy of this life. And that's something that I learned early on when I started to mold and mentor some of my employees and some individuals who had came to me for guidance. The first thing I notice about them when they're asking me about all my stuff, Mike, you got this big house, you got all these toys. They don't truly believe that they're worthy. And that's the first thing I have to do with them. I have to break that mindset, say, no matter what happened in life, dropped out of high school, went to jail, parents left you, whatever it is, you are worthy.
It's good. It's good. You do have some awesome toys too.
Appreciate it.
So if you were talking to somebody and they're like, okay, fine, I'm not fully satisfied with myself. I see that there's more growth. And I constantly hear people telling me, hey, I need to get some coaching. I need to find some coaching. And it's the first time they've ever experienced or thought about stepping outside and getting life coach, business coach, mental, whatever you want to call it. What would your be advice on where they should start in finding that first coach to get them on the right track?
Good.
You know, I wouldn't say to start small, but I would also say find somebody that you're attracted to currently. You know, so the example would be is like 10 years ago, I wasn't the biggest fan of Ed Milet's content. He wasn't speaking my language, right? I was more of a Ryan Stewman, hardcore closer. I like the rough and tough sales approach, the guy who would say, you know, F your excuses. So find somebody you can really resonate with. Don't pick a mentor or a coach just because they're supposed to be the greatest, right? Find somebody who speaks your language. You're going to get from A to B much quicker when you guys are on the same page and you guys are speaking the same language.
Yep. 100%. I wanted to go back. You know, you said because Tony's asking about that trigger point, right? And it's like, man, honestly, man, I just set my alarm a little bit earlier, right? Maybe I made just a couple more calls. I just cut out one fast food meal or whatever, right? And it's Justin Brock said this years ago it was actually at Power Players that we were at, Merwin, and he said, man, it's the little things, right? And sometimes the little things amount to freaking this, right? And all it is, I think it can start there, right? I think a lot of people look for like just that, oh my gosh, like that light bulb moment where everything just changed right then and there, right? It was just like, boom, done, right? I'm a new person. But I think a lot of the times too, I think that's why people remain so complacent, or why they're stuck kind of, you're talking about like in that gray area, right? Because maybe they're just not doing the little things, or maybe it is too much to tackle all at once in one day, right? And it's like, man, let me just get up a little bit earlier, right? Let me just do this just a little bit longer, right? Or whatever that might be. Eat a little bit more healthy. Stay at the gym or maybe just go 1 day a week, right? And then go for 2 days a week, or try and just, again, stack. It's like stacking the small wins, right? And then you look at them once they're stacked up and it's like, boom, right? There's greatness in there. And so I just love that you said that, because I think a lot of people will overlook the little things because they're little, right? It's like, hey, man, I woke up at 5:30 today versus 6. Right. And it's like, well, but you do that, right? And you keep, and then now I'm getting close to a 5 a.m. or dude, I never in the world thought I thought maybe if I'm waking up at 5, it's because my kids woke me up, right?
Exactly.
Or something like that. And it's like, now it's like, I was just telling my service guy, I'm like, dude, I can't stop, like my body, and I'm going to bed a lot earlier too. And that's what really helps is like, if I'm going to bed late, I always will try to sleep in a little bit longer, right? So it's like, just go to bed earlier. And it's so fun. I feel so freaking old saying it, because I'm in bed at like 9 o'clock, 9:30. It's like I'm 29, and it's like, dude, I'm freaking exhausted. But it's great. Like just going to bed like maybe an hour earlier is now, I love getting into the office earlier, right? And just having, even if it's just an extra hour and a half in my day, it's so crazy that when the day actually starts, right, pretty much when everybody else kind of gets going, and whether that's on the clientele side or whether that's, agents in your downline, your partner agents, whatever you want to call it, I feel like I've already accomplished like so freaking much, and it all is just a little thing. Like I'm just going to bed at 9 and not 10. So I wanted to highlight that, man. I think that's so good. And yeah, right on, Brian. Little things eventually do become big things. I wanted to pull this up too, because I think this is also, how do you, for somebody who maybe is not self-aware or aware that they need coaching or mentorship, right? They're just stuck in their ways. And Victor says, so lack of self-awareness is the number one killers in people reaching their potential. Those who can find where and what and why they lack and can make the adjustment always succeed, right? So how do we address lack of self-awareness? That's actually that's a deep, good question. But how do you, maybe an agent thinks they're doing good, and maybe let's look at it as in, how can I unlock that, man, your potential is so much more than what you're doing, right? And they're just not maybe aware of it, or they're just not interested in changing that. Us as leaders, I feel like we have a responsibility to at least have that conversation, right? How do you go about doing that when it comes to impact? You're saying, hey, I got to change the mindset. What if they don't want to change their mindset, but you see the potential they have? Where do you draw that line?
Good question.
It's a deep question. I know it's.
I mean, awareness for me, like all of my awareness came from when I had switched the groups of friends that I was hanging out with. Right. And like I said, the conversations are different, and you might, get a group of friends and you might go in and think, oh, these guys are so successful. I might not have what they have. And by the end of the night, you have a few conversations with them. You're like, that guy's not much different than I am. The only difference is his income's all the way up here and I'm way down here. And I think that just plays such a big role in awareness. Is like, can you reframe the question for me one more time?
So it's more of just how to really unlock the potential in somebody that doesn't necessarily see their own potential. If that makes sense.
Exactly. So 10 years ago, my groups of friends hanging out at the bars, nobody was talking about being the CEO. Nobody was talking about forming a 9-figure agency, right? So it really is, I believe, just your surroundings. It's not always about the friends you have, but it could be about the places you go, the people you see, and so on and so forth. But early on in my quest for personal growth, people would say things to me like, wow, man, you're really talented, or wow, you seem to be doing a lot of great things, or you really have a great head on your shoulders. And my friends were never saying that stuff to me. They were saying, come on, man, have another shot. Right. So, for me, it was all about surroundings.
Yep. That's good. I can personally attest to that. I know Tony can too. I did definitely in the past did not have necessarily the best pals, right, that I was surrounding myself with. To the point of where, and it's kind of funny, I was just talking about this on a training, is like insurance kind of like saved me, because I was getting in trouble. I was getting, I definitely had been arrested for doing just stupid stuff. And it was so funny. Like the parents like hated to love me, because they're like, dude, this dude has such a good head on his shoulders. He's got such a good heart. He's so respectful. He says, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Right. But it's like, he just keeps getting in trouble. And it's like, it got to the point where I like straight up left. I went to St. Louis to start an insurance, because I'm like, man, if I just go home and just do my same construction stuff that I always do in the summers to get back to school, whatever, I'm going to just keep getting in trouble. And that's how I found insurance. Dropped out of school, and then I've been in insurance literally ever since. So it definitely, your surroundings are huge when it comes to success in life and in business, right? I think that's super important. Tony, what else you got there, man?
You're ultimately a product of your environment.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
So you got to put yourself in the right environment so that you can be the right product that you want to be, period. You mentioned that the main reason you went non-traditional, right, was so that you can control the agent and the customer experience. So from an FMO standpoint perspective, where do you think a lot of FMOs are failing on the agent experience outside of just trying to sell shitty products sometimes? Like, what are some of the elements that where they just really drop the ball, in your opinion, on the agent experience?
The agents get left behind. If you're not a big producer, if you're not getting everybody's attention, you're usually not getting that love and support that you need. That's one thing. Another thing is, I will say it is not all about the money, but it's really hard to get somebody excited about $15 a month. I mean, it just really is. So when I had branched out and opened my first agency, I was like, okay, I'm free now. I can sell whatever I want. And I had laid out all these products in front of me, and I could have picked any one of them. Do you know which ones I picked? The ones that my previous boss was selling. Because again, it is really hard to get myself or that agent who wants to be great and wants to have all the things that I have, all the toys that I have. It's hard to get him excited over $15 per member per month.
Right.
So in my space, it makes life so much easier when, again, for example, some of my guys are netting 50% of premium. But what does that force them to do? It forces them to go above and beyond for their member, force them to service the client the right way, right? Because $15 a member a month, if they're having trouble finding a doctor or they're out of network, you're like, I can live without it. It's not really a big deal, right? Well, our agents, they don't want to lose their comp. So they will go above and beyond for the members, and they'll do everything they have to do. But I think what most FMOs are doing that, I don't want to say is wrong, but are doing that's not working for them is they're being just like everybody else. Don't be scared to be different, guys. Do not be scared to be unique. It is totally okay. And a lot of times I get on calls like this, and a lot of times people have a hard time wrapping their head around my business model, and that's totally okay. All that means is you're not my client. Right. There's 8 billion people in the world. I'm going to go find my client.
Right. So, well, talk about that a little bit. Really, the only reason I kind of know about HSA and all that technically was, I guess, Brad Hannon was talking to me a little bit about it, but I've been with on a gold plan with CHM for a hot minute. So I'm kind of a little bit more familiar with just what the products are. Can you, but maybe educate the agents on, hey, this is literally what a health savings account is and kind of the purpose behind it. Like educate on the actual product itself.
So are you familiar with an indemnity plan?
See, that I'm not. All I know is I have CHM and it's pooled stuff and it's all reimbursement, but it's like I get all my money back, and yeah, it's actually a pretty solid plan. It's
his whole business model revolves around 2 letters, P and C. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's also probably why he's actually really good at what he does.
Exactly.
Another thing I see FMOs doing is everybody wants to be the jack of all trades.
Right.
You hear that saying, jack of all trades is a master of none. That is so true for me. I've been a one-trick pony for about a decade. And that is the reason what I attribute all my success to. I do not get distracted by the shiny objects. I do not, I'm headed in this direction. I do not change my direction just because somebody says, "Hey, Mike, I got this going on," or I got these going on. Check these new products and these new leads. We stay the course. And that's what I see so many FMOs doing. They're just trying to be like everybody else. They're getting attracted to the shiny objects.
Yep.
And while that might work in the short term, that will never get you to where you want to be. It's never going to get you to financial freedom.
Right. And then so keep going on that. So so I'm going in this direction of so go back to what are the products, just to help people understand what that is if they don't.
So you're familiar with an STM. STMs is a short-term medical. They run for 6 or 12 months, very similar to traditional major medicals, except they have coverage limits, right? So it'll have $1 million limit over a 6 or a 12-month period, which the example is an ACA is not. That STM is usually used as a bridge. That would be somebody who lost their job in the middle of the year, and they need to bridge themselves until January 1st when they can get on an Oscar or a Molina plan, right? That's an STM. And the indemnity plans pay fixed amount for certain services and nothing extra. So an example would be an indemnity plan might pay $75 for an inpatient doctor visit, just $75. So if you go in for the visit and it's $125, the indemnity company will kick you a check for $75. You're on the hook for the other $50, right? Now that may not sound that great. Why would I do that when I could have a $20 copay, with an ACA plan? And the truth is because the products are a fraction of the cost of what the traditional products are.
Okay, got it. I think, I've seen a bigger uptick in this space, probably more so in the past, I'd say like 3-4 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I'm seeing a lot more health agents kind of going in this direction. What are you kind of seeing as far as like trajectories, or like, are you seeing kind of an influx of people wanting to get into your space? Has that helped you when it comes to recruiting and bringing on agents? Just because, hey, you guys want to get into non-traditional health? Like, check it out, man. I pay really damn good. What are you kind of seeing on that side of things? It's on the agent side.
Before this last election, our industry was very popular. With all the new ACA stuff going on, everybody has run to the ACA. So they've left non-traditional and run to the ACA. And I'm like, that is a breath of fresh air. And the reason being is because I want to do business with people that are all in. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not looking for a jack of all trades. I'm not looking for somebody who turns the news on and finds out about this new product and just going to leave their business overnight and go sell something new. That's not my ideal client, right? We want people that are all in. So the truth is right now, I wouldn't say business is down, but agents are actually going in the ACA direction. My industry is very politically motivated. So when there's a Republican in office, business goes up. When there's a Democrat in office, business goes down. That's always how it's been. So right now, everybody's selling ACA, and that was a breath of fresh air for us because, again, if you're not all in, if you don't love what you do, you're not the ideal client for us.
Yep.
So kind of trim the fat from some of the weaker agents.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. How do you find somebody that's all in out the gate versus like, okay, hey, they didn't leave. So obviously I know now they're all in. How do you find somebody that's all in right out the gate? What are some things that you're doing? Are there characteristics? Do you put them through like a DISC test? How do you find that?
I do DISC assessments. But I have to be honest with you, in the last 6 months, I've dramatically changed my recruiting approach. I'm not chasing agents like I used to. I'm not recruiting using my high commissions, because what happens is if an agent will leave his upline to make an extra 5%, all that means is he'll leave me to make an extra 5%. So where I'm at right now is I'm actually trying to create lifelong 15 and 30-year relationships with my producers. I don't just want to do business with them. I actually want to do life with them. So that's why we have this mastermind. We have the firewall coming. We're going to have a few famous speakers come in. Maybe I'll get the guys together and we'll run a marathon together. We'll celebrate our kids' birthdays together. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I mean, for somebody to be all in, the truth is those are the only people I'm doing business with these days. But I'm finding them through masterminds and same place where I met you, 8%. Right. The bottom line is if somebody's willing to pull out their checkbook and invest in themselves or buy a ticket to an event for $500 or $1,000, they're already a 10 times better candidate than the other agent.
Yeah. Right. Yep. You're not wrong there.
Well said.
That's good.
I want that same question I asked you about agent experience, because you mentioned that you're on the road to control two things. I want to control the agent experience. I want to control the customer experience. Where do you feel like agents? So basically the same question, but where do you feel like agents or agencies or even FMOs, whichever moniker you want to throw in that blank, where do you feel like they fail on the customer experience? And maybe what are some of the points that you are really working on being unique in the customer experience?
So, like I said, I think they fail on the customer experience by enrolling somebody and then saying, well, here you go. If you ever need anything, just call the number on the back of your card and they're going to take care of it, right? That's a cop-out. That's the lazy way out. And the truth is, I'm insured with Blue Cross. Every time I call the number on the back of the card, I get mad because the other person doesn't understand my situation. A lot of times they don't speak English, and it's just not the greatest experience. So what we do to go above and beyond is we actually have in-house retention and customer service teams. But we take it a step further, and we have what's known as health plan navigators. And what these people do, when my producers enroll you, they will have a 2 or 3 sentence spiel and let you know, we are open from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is our job to hold your hand through this entire experience. If you have trouble finding a doctor, medication, right? We take it a step further and we provide the service that the insurance carriers are supposed to provide. And while they do it, they do a great job. Nobody cares about your members as much as you do.
True.
Right.
So that's basically our secret sauce is
we let's face it.
Yeah.
Some carriers do it better than others.
Have a tremendous customer service expense. And these health plan navigators, they are not cheap. But you get it back when the member stays on the books for twice as long because they didn't have to call the number on the back of their card and get a really bad experience.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I was talking to, I don't know if you know Danielle Kunkel. She's a huge agency in the Medicare space, runs Boomer Benefits. And I can't even think of the tens of thousands of apps that she does on an annual basis. It's a ridiculous number, but her entire, like when I was talking to her about her growth, and she's like, we don't really hire agents anymore. We don't have to. We hire customer retention people. It's like everything that we have to do now is constantly focused on building out the customer experience to retain the business that these guys are putting on. Because they're killing. It's like, I don't need more agents. I need more customer retention. So she's always building out that side of her call center.
Yep. It's good. Love that. Well, real quick, man, before we close out, I love you've said it a few times now, but I want to talk about, and maybe it's on the horizon or maybe it's just a long-term goal. What's next on the horizon for Mike Schulkins? Is it the 9-figure exit? Or is that like, hey, no, that's still 10 years out? What's next for Mike?
I have a target of a 9-figure exit inside of 36 months. I'll be honest, I always set my goals high. So when you hear that, probably like, wow, this guy's killing it. that is that's a long shot for me. But I haven't missed a goal in a long time. So I plan on hitting that one as well. But what's next for me? I'm, still pouring into myself. I'm on the quest to become, myself's greatest version and to become that CEO that I know I can be, that CEO that is worthy of a 9-figure exit. So it's business as usual. But now I'm kind of going in a different direction in my personal life to assist Coach Nate Bailey with Unleash the Leader Within. So I'm a board member with that company and just helping him come up with new ideas and new ideas, new cities, new projects, and how we can get these guys together and help them stop playing in the gray. So that's got my biggest focus right now is filling the classes and preparing these individuals to unleash the leader within, and then actually flying to the city where class is in and becoming a coach myself.
Love that, dude. It's awesome.
Very
yep,
nice.
At 33, man.
Can't keep what you have if you don't give it away.
Right. Bingo. Look at that. That's how you close it out right there. Man, dude, thank you so much, bro. Yeah,
of course.
Really. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your time. I know you got all kinds of stuff going on. We could keep going. But guys, if you're not, well, how can people reach out and how people follow you? Give them some of that contact info.
On Facebook, Mike Schulkins, SCHULKINS. My Instagram handle is insurance_CEO. And if you're interested in attending ULW, the website is natebailey.org/ULW.
Okay. Sweet. Love it, man.
I even wore the hat for you guys.
Nice, man. I'll have to check that out, dude. You guys, like you guys got anything in Austin? Coming in Austin? If you do, we were just in Dallas 2 weeks ago. Oh, were you really?
Yeah, we were in Dallas 2 weeks ago. I had a class of brave souls that came out, and I always get the greatest feedback from the class. We had some gentlemen who had admitted they were being mediocre fathers, mediocre husbands, mediocre employees, and they had all agreed and kind of made a pact to stop playing in the gray. And it's just amazing to see these people come together, and it's really amazing to touch base with them, a few weeks after and they say, I've been in the gym every day this week. And you're like, well, that's what ULW does for you.
Right. Love that, man.
Right on, man. Well, thank you again for stopping by. We appreciate it. Like Joe said, we know you're a busy guy with more on your plate than you can probably handle at times, but thank you for taking time out. And as always, certainly all the viewers, thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this wonderful episode with Mr. Schulkins. A lot of great info. As always, this is recorded, so it'll live in the group. It also gets pushed to YouTube. And if you've never subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that. And we'll, as always, see you next Wednesday.
Right.
At the peak of the week.
And it's the peak of the week, y'all. You guys know it, right? Just keep going. I love what Mike said. It's you versus you. You are worthy, right? And don't be scared to be freaking different, man. So get out there, make a change, make an impact. We appreciate y'all. Hope everybody has an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Thanks again, Mike. See you guys.
I love what you guys are doing. Keep changing lives.